Look in a mirror right now, and you will do something so automatic you have never thought about it once. You will know it's you. That sentence sounds stupid to even say out loud. Of course it's you. But for most part of the animal kingdom, that reflection is a stranger, a rival, a threat, an endless source of confusion. And the handful of creatures that do recognize themselves, that short list is where the story of narcissism actually begins. Not with a person, with a mirror, a mark, and a species that had no business being self-aware in the first place. In 1970, a psychologist named Gordon Gallup came up with a brutally simple test. Dab an odorless mark somewhere an animal cannot see without a reflection. The eyebrow, the ear, show it a mirror, then watch. Most animals attack the glass or ignore it completely, treating the reflection as some other creature entirely. But a small number do something different. They pause. They investigate the mirror itself. They test it, moving in strange, deliberate ways to see if the reflection copies them back. And then, finally, they reach up and touch the mark. On their own body, not the mirror's. Theirs. Chimpanzees pass this test. So do elephants. So do killer whales and dolphins. So strangely does a small bird called the Eurasian magpie. A species with no neocortex at all, using a completely different piece of brain architecture to arrive at the exact same conclusion about itself. Even a fish, the cleaner wrasse, has passed the versions of this test. Self-recognition, it turns out, isn't a human trademark. It evolved independently over and over, wherever one condition kept showing up. A social world complicated enough that an animal needed to track not just where it stood, but who it was. And once an animal knows who it is, it needs to know something else immediately, where it ranks. At the Arnhem Zoo in the Netherlands, researchers watched something unfold among a chimpanzee troop that reads less like biology and more like a palace scoop. An aging alpha named Euron gets physically overthrown by a younger, stronger male, Louis. Euron should have been finished. Instead, he does something colder and smarter. He forms an alliance with a third male, Nicky, and helps install Nicky as a new alpha. In exchange, Euron gets something better than the throne itself, influence from behind it. Mating access far beyond what his actual physical rank should allow. He never reclaims the crown. He doesn't need to. He's pulling the strings of whoever's wearing it. That's not an isolated trick either. It's the same colony a female named Puist became known for something researchers can only describe as two-faced. She would extend her hand towards a rival, seemingly offering reconciliation, the classic peace gesture, and the second that rival got close enough, she would attack. The gesture was never sincerity, it was bet. This is the part that should unsettle you. These aren't cartoonish, instinct-driven creatures blindly following programming. This is calculation, coalition building, strategic deception. The exact same toolkit a narcissist uses on a group chat or in a corporate boardroom, just without the language to describe it. And the dominance doesn't always look the same, even within one species. Among mountain gorillas, a single silverback controls almost all reproductive access in his group, a system researchers call the despotic harem. But how a silverback holds that power varies enormously. One legendary leader named Gansby ruled for years through calm, almost gentle authority, rarely needing to force the issue. His successor, in contrast, rules through constant aggressive displacement, physically showing rivals out of position again and again to remind everyone exactly where they stand. Same species, same biological incentive, two completely different personalities running the exact same status program. Sounds familiar? It's the same split you will notice in Narcissist. Some charm their way to the top, others intimidate their way there. And both are just different settings on the same ancient dial. Underneath all of its chemistry, scientists call it the challenge hypothesis. Testosterone in male primates doesn't stay high just because an animal is dominant. It spikes specifically during instability, when rank is being contested, when a challenge is brewing. It's not a badge of power. It's fuel for the fight to get power or keep it. And that fuel comes at a cost. High-ranking chimpanzees burn through immune function to maintain the muscle mass their status depends on, a permanent trade-off between looking powerful and staying healthy. Bonobos, their close relatives, largely opted out of this entire arms race, diffusing tension through social bonding instead of domination. Same lineage, two completely different bets on how to survive a hierarchy. For decades, scientists thought status displays worked because they were wasteful. The peacock's tail, the story went, was proof of quality precisely because it was such a costly, dangerous handicap to carry around. It turns out that's largely wrong. The tail barely shows the bird down at all. The real reason these displays stay honest isn't self-sacrifice. It's that faking them is what actually costs too much. A weak animal simply cannot maintain the bluff long enough for it to matter, which means status, from the very beginning, wasn't about who suffered the most to prove themselves. It was about who could fake it the longest and who couldn't. Humans inherited every piece of this, and somewhere along the way, we invented something the rest of the animal kingdom never had: a single route to the top. Researchers call it the difference between dominance and prestige. Dominance is the old operating system: force, intimidation, fear. Prestige is new status freely given to whoever actually has the skill worth learning from. And the thing that forced this upgrade was brutally simple: weapons. Once a physically weak person could kill a bully with a spear from 10 feet away or in his sleep, brute dominance stopped being a safe long-term strategy. Fear-based rank became fragile. Earned respect became the safer bet. Even that shift was not permanent. Hunter-gatherer groups learned hard into prestige, favoring whoever had real skill over whoever had simply the strongest. Then came farming, property, and stockpiled resources, and dominance came roaring back, because now there was actual wealth worth hoarding and defending by force. Industrialization pushed things toward prestige again, simply because for the first time, an ordinary person could walk away and choose a different boss. Status, it turns out, was never a straight line moving from brutal to civilized. It's been swinging back and forth between force and merit for as long as we have had anything worth fighting over. It just went looking for a new way to run. That's what modern narcissism actually is. Not a personality quirk, but two ancient status strategies wearing a human face. Psychologists call it the narcissistic admiration and rivalry model, and it splits almost perfectly among the dominance prestige line. Admiration is the charming version, self-promotion, charisma, the performance of expertise, chasing prestige without necessarily earning it. It works for a while, people are drawn in, but rivalry is the other half, the defensive, hostile reaction, the moment status feels threatened. Devaluing rivals, punishing anyone who doesn't confirm their story. That's dominance, dressed up in a modern outfit, deployed the second the charm stops working. Here's why it never shuts off. Self-esteem itself, according to what's called sociometer theory, isn't really about how you feel about yourself at all. It's a gauge, constantly, quietly measuring whether your group still wants you around. And beneath that sits something older and darker, a mechanism researchers call the involuntary defeat strategy. When your brain concludes you're permanently lost status with no way back, it doesn't just make you sad, it shuts you down, flooding you with stress hormones while draining the reward chemicals that make anything feel worth doing. That state exists for a reason. In the ancestral world, a defeated animal that kept fighting for status it had already lost got killed. Giving up biologically used to be the safer move. A narcissist's grandiosity and their explosive defensiveness aren't separate problems. They are the same ancient alarm, doing everything possible to avoid ever triggering that shutdown. Every bit of self-inflation, every act of devaluing someone else is a preemptive strike against a biological collapse that used to mean losing everything. And today, that ancient alarm has never had less oversight. For most of the human history, status was checked constantly. Your community watched you hunt, build, lead, fail in real time. Reputation was nearly impossible to fake for long. Now, status can be built entirely online, in front of strangers who will never see the gap between the performance and the person. The verification system that used to keep this whole ancient machine honest simply isn't there anymore. So when you meet someone who cannot handle being questioned, who needs to be the most impressive person in every room, who turns cold and cruel the instant they feel smaller than someone else. You're not looking at a flaw in their character. You're looking at a 5 million-year-old survival algorithm built for a mirror, a rival, and a rank that once meant the difference between eating and starving. And maybe the most unsettling part is where that algorithm started. Not in a person, not even in a primate, technically a bird with no neocortex, passed the exact same self-recognition test a chimpanzee did, arriving at the same conclusion about their own existence through completely different wiring, self-awareness, status tracking, the compulsion to know exactly where you rank. None of it needed a human brain to exist. It needed a mirror, a mark, and a social world complicated enough to make knowing yourself a matter of survival. We didn't invent narcissism. We just gave it a vocabulary, a mirror it could scroll through infinitely, and no one left to check if the reflection was even honest anymore. It never got an update. It's just running on a species that finally learned how to talk. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.